tonight we are going to talk about gluten-free and different allergic reactions that people might have. You know, food allergies and dairy sensitivities. That's the one I talk about all the time, because a whole bunch of people are having reactions to cow and they don't know it. They have not got a clue why their body makes so much mucus. And then you say, well, cut out milk, cheese, and ice cream from a cow, and they do, and they're like, wow, this is night and day. So gluten is kind of like that. A lot of people have heard about gluten-free, but they really don't know if they need to do it or not. And it's not something you can do for a day and then not and say, well, I couldn't tell any difference. It don't work that way. So we're going to talk about that tonight. The information is coming from the Sunshine Sharing, as well as I'll add my 2 cents in there too. And first off, I just want to say that we've got some food here tonight and people have been tasting on it and stuff. I made a little pasta with some organic pasta sauce, and this was the pasta itself. Y'all might see this in the store. All of these food items were donated from Organic Harvest, and we thank them very much for that. This has brown rice, rice bran, and water. Just 3 ingredients. Now, y'all agree, if I didn't tell you that it was gluten-free, it just tastes like pasta, right?
Yeah, it was good.
So it comes in all the different shapes and sizes. You know, you have penny pasta and you have spaghetti, angel hair, linguine. You can get all the little shapes and sizes you want, right? And there's a whole lot more brands than just that, but I wanted to try that one because it's one of my favorite personally. These are some crackers that I have eaten several times. I've shared them in class before and people just love them. To me, what's attractive about them is they taste, you know, similar to a little saltine cracker, but they're infused with rosemary, and that rosemary is so pungent and wonderful. And again, the ingredient list is a nut and seed flour blend, tapioca. It's got your sunflower oil, your organic rosemary, sea salt, organic onion, organic garlic, organic pepper, and rosemary extract. It's very clean. So I enjoy that. And there's many other crackers that I have over here, as well as they have lots of crackers choices. And crackers, some are thin, some are thick, some are more hearty. You got to decide what you want, what is attractive to you. And I have a lot more food items than what I'm going over, but I just thought I'd show a few of these. This is some bread. Now, usually the gluten-free bread is going to come frozen normally, because when you have bread that doesn't have all the chemicals and pesticides and all the preservatives, it will go bad sitting on the shelf in just a short period of time, maybe even before they sell it in the store, right? So you want to keep it in the freezer, take it out, either toast it or just let it thaw out for a few minutes and then eat it. This one right here is gluten-free bread, but this is a cinnamon raisin. And this one's also egg-free. And some people are watching those kinds of things too. So I love cinnamon raisin because I like to make cinnamon toast. Did y'all grow up eating cinnamon toast? So put it in the water, I mean not the water, put it in the egg mixture, fry it in the pan, and eat it with some real maple syrup. Ooh, I'm in heaven. Now, this right here we tried, and did y'all like the wraps?
Yeah, very good.
This right here, and they don't taste like coconut, but they are raw coconut meat, raw coconut water, raw unrefined virgin coconut oil, and just a little bit of turmeric powder that give it that goldish color. So this would be a roll-up instead of bread or tortilla or whatever it be. A lot of people can't have corn, and so I rolled up vegetables in there, and they're really good. Then I ate these a lot. I'm guilty. I do like ginger snaps. And what's funny to me is my daughter does eat healthy stuff, but she also eats junk. Well, she saw these in my car. She was hungry. She grabbed some and she goes, these are gluten-free, these are good. Because a lot of times people think if something's going to be gluten-free, it's not going to be good. But many times they taste the same and you don't taste the difference. But I really do enjoy these. Now we have lots of other, there's gluten-free Pop-Tarts and gluten-free waffles, and there's gluten-free cereal and cookies and crackers and breads and just all kinds of things. You can find it out there so much easier than used to be. And I'll tell you, for a privately owned health food store in Birmingham, Organic Harvest has a huge selection of gluten-free things, even more than some of the larger, health food stores do. So don't hesitate to check them out there in Hoover, just like we are. Okay, now let's get into the gluten intolerances. A lot of people, now you're going to find out that I am not one of these people that say everybody needs to eat gluten-free. Some people can break down and digest things differently than others, but if you're questioning why you have weight issues, bloating issues, pain issues, inflammation issues, gastrointestinal issues, it could be, it's possible, but you really have to do the gluten-free for at least 6 to 8 weeks to clear the intestines so that you can tell the difference. Now, most people feel better after a week or two, but they got to clear it all out. So you can't do it and then cheat and eat a little saltine cracker that has wheat in it, because then you have to start all over. That's the deal. So it says, the first statement here is interesting. One man's meat is another man's poison. That is true. All of us have allergic reactions and food sensitivities to different things. I will tell you that, excuse me, a connection of mine that I have worked with, they have a lab up in Madison, and they will do a food test, blood work wise. Many times I think people need to have that done, because I was talking with the gentleman who is the phlebotomist, and he found out that he was allergic to salmon. Now, you would think you would be allergic necessarily to all fish, but he's not, but he's allergic to salmon. And he identified that with blood work, and then when he stopped eating it, it made a difference. So you may want to have that blood work done and test some of these food allergies. That can be a good thing to do. So many people are becoming aware of the food intolerances, especially with gluten. Gluten-free is all over the place. You see it everywhere, but you definitely still have to read the labels. A lot of people are lactose intolerant. Some people have sensitivities to all these different little things out there. So if you do, just know that it's best to follow that and then work with, why do I have this sensitivity? Like when you're working with a gluten intolerance, you want to look at the small intestine, right? And do some cleansing of that part of your body. Food allergies are an immune reaction involving mast cells, which are found in the mucous membranes in the lungs, intestines, trigger inflammatory reactions to certain substances via the release of histamine. So this happens when a particular protein structure binds to an IgE antibody on the surface of the mast cell. This initiates an immune reaction which treats the substance as an invader and seeks to flush it out of the body. That's why you might eat something and have diarrhea straight away, because the body goes, evacuate, evacuate, get this out of here, it's poison. And it could be something normally fine. So a lot of people have very serious reactions to cow's milk, eggs, soy, peanuts, tree nuts, wheat, fish, and shellfish. These reactions can occur within a few minutes and be very severe, enough to be life-threatening. That's pretty bad. Now, occasionally these reactions people have, like I say, to cow milk, cheese, and ice cream, sometimes it's not a reaction that they put 2 and 2 together with. They get mucus. Like I was talking to a guy the other day, and I said, avoid milk, cheese, and ice cream from a cow because it makes more mucus. And he said, oh yeah, I'd be totally clear And then I ate a bowl of ice cream, and immediately my sinuses drained. He's just never really put two and two together that the dairy is causing that. And a lot of people love the ice cream so much they just tolerate it, and that's fine and dandy if you want to, but it is building mucus in the body. So sometimes you can have a food allergy as a child and it get a little better. And then other times you have never been allergic to nothing that you knew of, and all of a sudden hit you bam at any age. So food intolerances are much more subtle. A lot of people will just kind of have a delayed reaction. I was talking with a person the other day who has contracted Lyme's, and there's a certain kind of tick that if you get bit by them, then you can not be able to eat red meat. So a lot of meats they can't eat, milk, cheese, and ice cream they can't eat. And they don't have the reaction immediately, but within 4 hours they do, and they're cramping so bad they got to go to the emergency room. And it took them a long time to figure out what was going on. So we just want to be thoughtful. Where does all this stuff start from? It might affect the skin. It might affect the respiratory, the gastrointestinal, hives, rashes, dermatitis, eczema, itchy skin. All of those are possible things with the skin. Respiratory could be congestion, sinus, asthma, unproductive cough. Digestive problems can be irritable bowel syndrome, mouth ulcers, canker sores, gas, bloating, nausea, constipation, occasional diarrhea, and intestinal cramping. That's a whole bunch of different stuff. So you really want to, that's why I like people to make food chart themselves. I like them to journal out everything they're eating and drinking. Felt good today, didn't feel good today, da 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 da. You know, had this response. Then you maybe be able to identify some things. So you're wanting to try to identify these food intolerances, and it just says that in here, which is what I've been recommending for years, is to create a food journal and write everything down. Of course, y'all know how I do muscle response testing in a consult, and so we can also test food, and I do that for people. They'll bring in a big grocery bag. You don't have to have a whole loaf of bread, but you can have a morsel of a piece of bread, and you can have a piece of a banana or a piece of fish or whatever, and we can test. You do want to get to what is the cause. So a lot of people point out that many people are finding eliminating gluten from their diet is improving their health. But why would grains like wheat and all of these different things we've been eating for years all of a sudden be a problem? Well, the grain of today is not the grain of yesterday. We know that. And in my opinion, that's part of the issue, is things are old and they're genetically modified, and things are just different than they used to be. If one looks at the list of common allergy-causing foods, you can get a clue to most of these foods have been altered and over the years. Shellfish, fish in general, farm-raising fish, all that kind of stuff. They're fed things that they would normally not eat. A fish is not going to jump up on the earth and eat corn, right? But they will feed these fish, stuff like that. Cows and chickens are no longer raised in the pastures. They're kept, in small cages, and they're made to grow faster than they normally would, like 6 weeks instead of 4 months on the chicken. All of this kind of stuff will alter our bodies and how our bodies respond to these foods. Genetically modified, I don't have to go down that path because most people know that that is a huge problem that we have. And personally, when I'm looking at corn or anything else I might buy, I'm not going to buy it unless it says no GMO. I'm looking for that. And I hope y'all are too. Because if enough of us will not buy the other, they'll have to change things. But unfortunately, it's all money motivated. Now, the damage to the GI tract. What all these factors have in common is that they irritate the gastrointestinal system. And so when they destroy or affect that gut bacteria, that is when we can have a huge effect, not only on, you know, elimination bowel movement wise, but 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So antibiotics, you know, one thing I realized when my daddy was going through bladder cancer and the way they chose to address it, they chose to insert in his penis, into his bladder, the chemo. And then he held it, and then he eliminated it in the toilet. The toilet? Doesn't that mean that gets into our water system? Now, they asked him to put a half a cup of Clorox in there every time he flushed the toilet for the next 3 times. You really think Clorox is going to kill chemo? That's when I went, I'm never drinking that water ever again. Of course, I hadn't drank it for years, but still, goodness. So they're not taking care of us as far as pharmaceuticals in our water, antibiotics in things, giving antibiotics to animals, and then we eat the animal. What you think? So you want to be very thoughtful about even just chlorine. You know, I ask a lot of people when they come see me about skin issues if they have a filter on their shower. And a lot of people haven't thought about doing that yet, but the chlorine's going to affect your skin. You take a shower every day, maybe even more. So little tools like that we might want to pay attention to. And they can, all these things can also affect our gut. Now, leaky gut is something that a lot of people ask questions about. It allows substances that would normally be rejected by the intestinal membrane to be absorbed, causing an irritation to the whole body. So the bottom line is these alterations in our food supply will probably be irritating people's digestive system, throwing off the gut microbes, and throwing the whole system out of balance. So evidence seems to suggest that problems like leaky gut, intestinal bacteria overgrowth, and chemical toxins in the food may be the real reasons that we have these food allergies and intolerances to these different things. So big question is, how do we get all this healing started? For sure, we want to pay attention to probiotics. Now, we don't just have one, we have lots of different choices. In Nature's Sunshine, we've got acidophilus, we've got bifidophilus, we've got probiotic 11, we've got bacillus coagulans, we've got the chewable, we've got the ramped up elevated 11, and we've got lots of choices. So I like to test people to see what they need. Enzymes, if you eat cooked food, you need enzymes. Blank. Now, we have a lot of different enzymes. Food enzymes, proactosome, anti-gas formula, Protease Plus. Got lots of choices there too. Chewable as well. If you don't digest dairy, don't eat it. Milk, cheese, and ice cream from a cow. I always say milk, cheese, and ice cream from a cow because people include eggs, and that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. And yogurt, some people are not as sensitive. Now, some people have to get rid of all of it, but some people, because yogurt is soured, it has those live bacteria, they can tolerate that more than sweet milk. So, general supplements you might look at is, they've got a little formula here that you might look at. It's quite interesting. Talks about golden seal and digestive bitters taken prior to a meal. And the bitter flavor is essential in making the formula work. And the bitterness stimulates the digestive system. Okay, today, how many of y'all had something bitter? Okay, good. Everybody's saying yes. Good, good. Y'all eaten dandelion greens before? Mm-hmm. In the South, we have them pretty good. Well, they're bitter. But if you mix them with other greens, they're not bad. Arugula. Y'all ever have that? Arugula? Mm-hmm. I love it, but it is bitter like by itself. But those bitter foods do aid in your digestion. So a lot of times when I'm at a bar and there's cooked food and there's raw foods, I'll put some of that raw food like arugula and different things with the cooked food too, and eat a little bit of it because it's going to help me digest everything so much better.
I put it in my protein shake.
Yes, that
helps a lot.
It does. We need a nice variety. Everybody always puts fruit with their protein, and that's fine, but we need vegetables too, and you won't taste them. You know, I had spinach and beets and celery this morning all in mine. And what I tasted was more of the pineapple and banana and apple and everything else I put in there. So digestive enzymes are something, as we talked about. And on this sheet of paper are several gut healing diets. Since I can't hand this sheet of paper out to everyone, excuse me, we might look at the paleo diet. A lot of people use that effectively. The MODMAP diet, so MODMAP diet. Now this one has a lot of specifics to it, but it has a lot of fermented. Have y'all ever gone down the fermented direction of foods? And they're really good. The GAPS diet, and it's a little different, but it doesn't allow the dairy and honey and gelatin and, you know, the store-bought juices and all those kind of things. So y'all look all this stuff up. But the scientific carbohydrate diet is on here, and you may want to research that a little bit. But a lot of different people have seen results from eliminating certain things that might bother them. And they are going to be different with everybody. So that's why the same diet doesn't work for everybody. But if you'll do that food journal, as I ask everyone to do, you'll figure out which foods seem to bother you, whether that be gluten, whether that be dairy, whether it be starchy things, whatever it be. Find what seems to bother you, avoid it, and you can come up with the best dietary things for you. But there are some basic givens. Potatoes, rice, cornbread, and pasta for everybody do not need to be eaten white. If you're going to eat them, they need to be colored. And we need to limit the intake of those because those do affect our blood sugar. Yes, white sugar needs to be avoided by everybody. You know, there are some basics, but then we can tweak it. Now, another thing you might not think of automatically, but super omega-3 or some type of oil is going to be beneficial. And the other thing to look at is L-glutamine. And you might also look into bone broth. Now, I hope y'all have already started consuming bone broth. You make it yourself pretty cheap. I always say go to Pinterest. I got recipes like crazy. Or you can go to the health food store and purchase it. But that is very healing for the gut. And so some other things that can be helpful, we might look at berberine and golden seal. We might look at bowel build, or bowel detox, actually what it's called. And we might want to do some cleansing with Tau Heat Cleanse or Clean Start. And then, of course, we have the Detox Basics is another one. So if you go to my website, rhondadial.com, click on product list, you can read on all of these. The Uña de Gato is also known as cat's claw. That can be a beneficial one. And if the intestines have a lot of inflammation, we might really look at the intestinal soothing deal. That's an awesome formula I've been using for a long time. So play with these, find the ones that work best for you, because we have a lot of different cleansing tools. But usually the way we form an allergy to something is we ate way too much of it. Now, are y'all like me that walked to school a mile every day in elementary school, uphill in the rain? But basically, I carried in a paper bag my lunch, which every day was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, it could have formed an allergy to the wheat with the bread, or the peanut butter easily, right? So now in the world we live in today, I like almond butter over peanut butter. I use the alternatives. And a lot of times I'll do the gluten-free bread. Now I do gluten-free sometimes whether I need to or not because I just prefer the ingredient list. Like pastas that are gluten-free, as I was showing this one earlier. Now there's some that are much, much greater, but that pasta, when you get a half of a cup, is 4 grams of protein. Normal pasta doesn't have that much protein in it. Then there are some pastas out there that are like the chickweed pasta or black bean pasta and all these, they are like 25 grams of protein in a serving. So you can find some really good selections looking at the gluten-free, but definitely read the label. If they've taken something out, they may have added something else, and you want to be very cautious about that, but just always read the label, and there's plenty of really good choices out there. So if y'all have any questions, you can email me, Rhonda@rhondadial.com. Go to my website, rhondadial.com, click on product list, read on any of this stuff. We also do have a great product called Small Intestine Detox, and that is specifically designed for the small intestine. Like I say, that's an area to pay attention to as well, as we're trying to cleanse and detoxify just by not eating it anymore. Okay? Well, I hope y'all learned something tonight and have a blessed day.